Are you ready, Tara, to get started?
Ready.
Awesome. Anthony, why don't you kick us off?
All right, guys. Anthony Angelillo, branch manager over here at Paramount Residential Mortgage Group, CEO, founder of Tag Team Nation, top originator of the year. And I am pumped to roast Tara. I'm joking around.
I can take it. It's okay. I can take it.
I'm pumped to ask you a lot of questions. It's ironic. You know what's crazy? And I don't want to get into detail here, but we're talking about referrals on our Monday meeting. We just had that conversation. So I'm interested to hear what you have to say. But that being said, I'll let Melinda speak.
Excellent. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. We are episode what, Anthony? What episode is this? 63. Amazing. Talk about consistency. We got it done. It's like year 2. We're actually going to be on year 3 soon. We're going to finish year 2 in February. That's pretty crazy. So Damage Control is a show to help agents grow their business, whether learning about the practical tools needed in real estate or the business, the marketing, and all that other systems and team building side. So we love to help agents. I'm Melinda Grimaldi, real estate and title attorney, Grimaldi Law Firm, the closer's title. And I'm so happy to have Tara on with us today. We heard you speak for Women's Council panel. We're like, we need to have her on the show. This is so good. So why don't you introduce yourself to everyone, and then we'll start talking shop.
Awesome. Well, my name's Tara. I'm super excited to flamingo with you guys today. I am a 3rd generation realtor located in South Florida, Fort Lauderdale area in particular. And it's in my veins, it's in my blood. And we average about 30 million, never paid for a lead before. And previous to real estate, I was the marketing director, VIP director, and managing high-end nightclubs and restaurants on Las Olas for about 10 years. So kind of taking the database that I had previously and throwing that into real estate and learning out how to figure out how real estate works, which is still the hardest job I've ever had in my life. And here we are, and there's no going back.
I love that. I come from a family of real estate too. My family, now my mom's an agent, but previously my family was in real estate. We bought, sold, rented, developed, did a whole bunch of stuff. So it's like only like, they tried to get me to do real estate. They're like, you should be a real estate lawyer. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. In the beginning, when I had my first, they got me a job with their real estate attorney. And I didn't even want to go the first day, because I was like, this is going to be the worst. I don't want to do this. I want to litigate. I want to do that. Funny enough, I started my practice afterwards, and 6 months, and I realized, oh, real estate's like coming easy for me, and everyone, and then, so I started writing title not long after that, and the rest is history. So my mom was right. I'll give her credit on this one, but yeah, so it's in our, like, why fight it? Like, just, go with the flow and join the family, right? In the industry. So very awesome. So tell me a little bit about what you guys do. Who's in your team? It's you and your mom, right? Do you have anybody else on the team?
My mom, my uncle. I have 2 buyer's agents and a marketing assistant. Well, really down to 1 buyer's agent. And I have my own team within the team where I have my own showing assistants, virtual assistant, and transaction coordinator.
Wow, that's excellent.
Hold on, break that down one more time. Mom, uncle, VA, transaction coordinator.
No, so VA, marketing assistant. No, I'm sorry, just marketing assistant and an executive assistant and 1 buyer's agent.
Interesting.
Good
and
stuff.
Then myself, I have 3 showing assistants, a VA, and a transaction coordinator.
Love it. Love it. So let's focus on you and your team. I'm sure that's what you're here to talk about anyways, right? So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do with your business development and how you generate your leads if you're not paying for them, or your referrals.
Oh, there's a bunch of ways to get there. So I guess you guys feel free to pick what you guys want to dig down deep on. So there's a book called 7 Levels of Communication. That is, somebody invited me to a book club years ago, and I was like, I'm not going to a book club. And this guy was like, listen, Tara, this is so for you. Like, these systems and models are you. So I showed up, and long story short, Michael Mayer is the one who wrote the book. He was America's #1 referred agent. And I ended up then hiring him as a coach. And now I am actually a coach for him. So the way that he runs his business is basically all about referrals. And that's really sticking to the generosity generation systems. And if you really think about it, a referral is an emotional charged endorsement. So like what better endorsement to get that's going to actually have some emotion around it and be emotionally charged? I mean, referrals, if you can run your business based on referrals instead of having to, I mean, listen, there's a million ways to do your business. There's no wrong way. There's no right way. You just have to pick what works best for you. And there's a zone that we call within the pyramid of the 7 levels of communication, the communication period. And at the very top of the pyramid, it's the influential zone. And the influential zone is when you're having one-to-one, belly-to-belly conversations, going to events, hosting events. You're doing, you're making relationships instead of just sitting behind a screen or cold calling. Like I'm getting belly to belly with people as much as possible. And that's very helpful.
That's amazing. I read that book earlier this year, and I think that was right around the time that you actually spoke on the panel, Women's Council. Didn't you go to an event or speak at an event regarding the 7 levels around that time? You had just come back from
More
something.
than likely.
Yeah. So it's funny how I just read the book and then you're doing that. It's a really, really important book to read. So if you haven't read the 7 levels of communication, it's a great way to think about the referral business in real estate or in any business. So let's dig down deeper in that then, since I'm sure you're all in with that angle as far as I see you, and if you're coaching it, you obviously are all in on it, right? So how can someone start? Like we all have our spheres, right? We have all our contacts, we have our past clients. What are some strategies to be able to really fill that pipeline, with things that you already have, resources you already have, relationships you already have?
I'll start with like something a little more beginner, but not as advanced, because in the
Sure.
book there's 88 systems. So you don't have to do all of them. I probably only do about 15 at a high level. And you got to do one and then you do another one that works well for you. So one of the best ways that I always suggest to realtors is to do what we call the yellow pages activity. And what that means is, and it's fun to get your kids involved or anybody else, take the alphabet letters A through Z and fill in every category for each letter. So for example, A would be accountant, auto mechanic, B would be a banker, F financial advisor, like I can go on and on, right? Fill in as many fields as you can for every field that you can think of for each letter. Then look at your current database and say, who do I know in each of these fields? Do I have at least 2 to 3 people in each of these fields in order to fill them in? And secondly, if you don't have anybody, well, then there's your opportunity to be prospecting, to be looking for those people. So what does that look like to be prospecting for those people? Well, I call it Face Google. Facebook is like the new Google. You can post on Facebook and you can ask, hey, I'm looking for a great painter in the Broward County area. Who do you know that I should know? Now, everybody that gets tagged into that, it should be public. Everybody gets tagged into that. Then what I'm doing is I'm going back to everybody who tagged somebody, reaching out to them, introducing myself, and I can go over the script for that conversation. And then going back to the person who tagged them to let them know that we got in touch and asking them how they are and how's business to see if I can form a relationship if I don't already have one. Does that make sense?
It does. That kind of is similar to my Team 100 business development tool that I have. It basically it's a list of all the professions that are somewhat relevant. And then, who we have in those categories that we can refer out to, build a relationship with, et cetera. So it's a really powerful tool if you really, use it and let them know. Right. So I'm interested, to see, okay, so you meet these people, eventually you meet up with them after connecting on social media, you do in-person meeting with them.
Typically on Thursdays, I do networking stacks to where I will have a networking stack. We call it a home court advantage. So I'll have a home court advantage that I work out of, or I actually have a few, and I will invite 2 to 3 people for that particular day to meet up.
Cool. So for those that haven't read the book, I'll add some more information here. So the idea is to have a place that you go consistently on a routine basis, that everybody knows who you are. Everyone, builds a relationship with you. They take good care of you. They take good care of the people who are with you. You start to grow a sphere even within that space. And on top, and then you stack your meetings back to back at that location so that you more effective with your time too at the same time, right? So I don't know if I explained that
No,
properly, but
that was
it makes
great.
sense. Yeah.
Just know like that the home court advantage is part of your strategy. When you make a restaurant in your home territory, the way the staff handles you makes others respect and trust you more. So if you're thinking like, all right, well, I don't have a venue right now, well, then you need to think about the clientele and that you want to attract that is in line with your mission, vision, and values, and pick that place. Now, I picked a few different ones for different reasons. Most of them are a little more bougie because I do like the luxury end of business. But if you're a beers and wings kind of guy, then pick the best beers and wings places and make sure if they don't already know your name, if you go to the same venue 3 days a week at the exact same time, because typically the same staff works, the 2 to 4, whatever it is, and you make sure that you ask questions, get to know them, and keep in mind the person who talks the most dominates the conversation, but the person that asks the most questions controls the conversation, and you can learn so much about them. And eventually by the second or third week, you're going to come back in and they're going to be like, do you want the same thing? And they're going to know who you are. That's if you don't have one already. And if you do, you need to dig down deeper.
Yeah. That's so good. I love that. It's such a good strategy. So, I'm trying to, I stacked as well without even really having intention, just to be more efficient with my time, not necessarily with, a location, whether it's Zoom or calls or different things. I like to stack same categories together. So if you're, working on your effectiveness and time management, this is just one more tool that I could also lead you to get more business because of the relationships you build and in the community that's there in that same place if you continue to go over and over again, right? So I love that. So
I would just want to add, like, what's really, really cool about it is that when you're sitting, so for example, let's say I have a new agent that I want to meet and I'm sitting down with you, which I need to sit down with you anyways. Let's say that we have the lunch. I'm going to stack it between 12 to 1, let the hostess know that you're going to meet me. Then I'm going to let the hostess know I also have a 1 o'clock. And I also have a 1:30 typically. And from the 12 to 1, when you come in, the hostess is going to take you to my table, and which is already going to make you feel like a little something. And because I know the people that are there, they're going to come by the table as well. Usually the chefs or the managers or, even the busboys or the waitresses. And hey, Tara, how is everything? And that forms credibility without me having to say anything if I don't know you. Yeah. And then definitely. I let you know I have the next appointment. And when the next appointment comes in, I'm just going to have coffee or tea. When the next one comes in, what happens is I always excuse myself to the restroom, whether I have to go or not, because what do you think happens when I make sure that I introduce you to and I remove myself for a minute? What do you guys talk about?
You. How do you know Tara?
Another level of, I guess credibility that I didn't have to do anything for credibility.
Yeah. It's so good. It's really a good strategy. If you organize yourself properly, I could see it working like a charm for sure. So you're meeting with, you're stacking your appointments, you're meeting them. What do you do next with these relationships? Because you don't always have a referral for them or necessarily right away. So how else do you keep in touch or develop that relationship?
I always find a problem. So not a problem, a challenge, a dilemma, a homework assignment. I always find something that they need help with, because again, I was asking a lot of questions. I was taking notes while they were answering, getting to know about, what's your current biggest opportunity for room for improvement in your business? And the last one had told me they couldn't find a good receptionist. And I said, what's a good receptionist look like to you? And then I took notes on what that person was. And I said, where's the best place, do I have your permission to reach out to my database to see if maybe I can help you? And again, I didn't have anybody, but it was the fact that I actually listened and took notes and whatnot. So that problem solving what opportunity was for me to find at least attempt to reach out to my database and post on social media if somebody matched the criteria of what they were looking for. And so to just mingle that up, just find a homework assignment, find something that they're struggling with, or maybe it's something that they want to do. Like the last one time he said he wanted to go skiing in Aspen and explore the mountains that were around there. Well, then my marketing dollars, since I do not spend for leads, my item of value that was a follow-up was a book in the mail from Amazon about all the coolest places to stop on your skis in Aspen and the history of the mountains.
That's amazing.
$35. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, definitely. And really what you're looking is to find a way to provide value, right? one way or another, what is it that you could help move the needle? One question I like to ask, if you're not finding that, is who are you looking to meet? Who helps grow your business? And then it's a great way to introduce them to somebody else that maybe they would have a good connection with, and likely that will be a mutual beneficial relationship. So that's a great, great story. So all these potential referral sources from your list, you put them in your database, I'm sure. What do you do to keep in touch and continue to check in, or do you have anything more systematic, or how are you doing that?
Not a drip, but it depends on what the conversation was. And then I will grade them with the same systems from 7 levels. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Some of the same systems of 7 levels, I'll grade them based on, A's they're the people that gave me 2 or more referrals. B, they've only given me 1 referral in the past year or ever. And C is going to be probably friends or family or vendors that aren't there. And D are just not the delete button, but they stay on drip campaigns.
Yeah.
So I grade them based on that. And my goal is to move everybody to a B and A.
Okay.
And then I have like touch systems that are in there. You just input it one time and it's done.
That's great. I love that. And it's true, because not everyone's going to start in an A. Most people don't, right? Unless you really have a strong connection. So you've got to work your way up and work that relationship up to be something strong. And that requires time and consistency, right? In building.
Definitely consistency. And I think it comes from also asking during those lunches or one-on-ones or meetings or conversations when they're happy at the moment that I helped them with something or I gave them something of value. I always do the chosen one script, which is basically, if you, your spouse, neighbor, or coworker had a real estate need, who do you refer that business to? And 9 out of 10 times they got somebody. Oh, my aunt's cousin, we have to use in the family. Okay, well, are you happy with them? Just because they said no doesn't mean no, it just means not yet. So then the next question is usually, well, is there any chance that over the next 90 days, if you come across somebody that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, could you refer that business to me and just see how I do things differently? Now, I'm not asking for all of your business. I'm just asking you for one opportunity in the next 90 days. Would that be okay? If the answer is still no, I'll go in for one more close and then I'm done and they go on the D list. Not going to spend any more time or energy on them.
Right. Because some people do have strong relationships, right? And we have to be realistic with that, because we have some of those strong relationships. So we have to expect that other people will have those as well, right? So, but then you put them on the drip, because one day that can change, and then they're like, oh yeah, there's Tara. I forgot about her, and you know what? I can't stand my cousin anymore, so let me call Tara now, right? So it's a good thing. Anthony, how do you manage your relationships do you have a systematic way to do that? I know we know that you know how to handle your leads, but what about your relationships?
So the leads are relationships. I mean, the same thing, but in terms of referrals, what we just did is we sent out an email, and we're sending out another email today asking for a referral, and whomever sends this referral will get a $25 gift card, Starbucks gift card. And we're reaching out our sphere of influence and who we conduct business with and who we closed deals with. So the database and scrubbing the database is where the money's at, period. That's literally where all the money's at. And that's what we do very effectively. I have a question here, and I'm just taking notes. So let me think and take my notes. But I do have a question. You talked about top level influencer zone. Are there specific zones, like a pyramid? Is that what you're setting up? Belly to belly would be number 1 top zone. Is that your number 1 way to retain business?
Correct. So you have so at the bottom of the pyramid, it's an informational zone, and that's going to stick to advertising like bus benches and billboards, direct mail, which direct mail is simple, electronic communication, so emails and whatnot. And so that's going to be informational zone. And then the largest impact you have is the higher you climb up the pyramid. So at the top of the pyramid, it starts with handwritten notes, which I do a lot of those, phone calls, events and seminars, and then one-on-one meetings is more of staying in the influential zone. You want to stay in the influential zone versus just somebody who's just giving information and staying in the informational zone. So I loved, for example, you just said that you're from influential slide dial. and drop voicemails in everybody's inbox.
So you broke up a bit. So could you repeat
you broke up
that
a bit.
that last point?
So when he said emails, I said, let's bump it up 3 notches and let's do the same exact thing that you're writing in the email, and let's do slide dial and drop voice messages in 100, 200 people's voicemails at the same time. The phone doesn't ring. You're not talking to them. It literally rings once, to go straight to voicemail, and it drops voicemails at once.
So my question though is, so the informational zone, what's the best way to get them out of the informational zone? Because I love that. Elaborate. I know what I would do, but I want to hear what you're doing.
The handwritten notes are big. So every client gets happy birthday and happy home anniversary handwritten notes with the gift cards in it from us. I think that's been a huge success to my mom's business for being such repeat and referrals. I'm not 100% referrals yet. I still have to grind. So, but phone calls, events and seminars, or one-on-one conversations would get you out of the informational zone and into the influential.
That's awesome. And then what happens after information zone? It goes right into what? Influential zone or what? What's the next step?
Yep. And well, your handwritten notes, and then it goes into influential zone.
Interesting.
And somebody could literally Google 7 levels of communication pyramid, and you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's a really great systematic way to, like, because sometimes when we think referral business, right, or relationship business, it's hard to give like a checklist kind of way to approach it, right? Versus leads, you pay for the leads, you put them in your CRM. You have to make sure you answer the calls within a certain amount of time, and you make sure you follow up, send this email. You know, there's a way to handle a lot of the other types a bit more concretely. So for those that are like me, this is a great book to like give structure to like building a referral business. Does that make sense? The way I explained it, I don't know. Maybe.
No, you did good. That's exactly what it is.
So you said there's 87 systems. What other things do you do? 88. What other than this home court advantage strategy with the one-on-one meetings and you building that list of potential refer sources, what else are you using? You're doing the note cards, right, on the anniversaries?
Yeah, there's 7 steps to a power note, which I highly suggest everybody follows that one. At least it's really powerful. I'm just giving you tips, and there's a whole there's even a YouTube video on that. But 7 steps to a power note, I would definitely suggest. Understanding the disc profile. I think that businesses overlook this so much. So the disc profile and understanding that I need to mirror and match that type of person, and really understanding disc at a high level has changed my business. And I feel like that's not just for real estate, right? That's for any business possible. So during initial buyer consultations, seller consultations, one-on-ones, I will usually ask them the magic question, we call it, which is basically, and I'll actually ask both of you guys this. If your best friend or spouse had to best describe you out of one of 4 things, which one would it be? Direct and straight to the point, social and outgoing, steady and dependable, or cautious and perfectly accurate?
I'm a blend of 1 and 2.
Okay, so direct and straight to the point, and your second best would be social and outgoing.
I think social and outgoing is my strongest suit.
Yeah, by all means.
And then what's your second, Anthony?
I would say direct. I'm extremely direct. I'm consistent. I'm always consistent. I do the same damn thing every day, like Groundhog Day.
But your first would be social and outgoing?
Without a doubt. I am definitely a blend, and yes, I like being on stage, but I'm trying to be more consistent, because obviously consistency is going to bring you to major success. But yeah, so a blend in that.
So you guys are both the same as me. I'm a high I and a D. So on the disc profile, basically what that means is high I's they love socializing, they're outgoing, they're friendly, they're emotional, they're energetic. These are the people that I'm going to be sending text messages to that have emojis in them. These are the people that I'm going to describe the house to them and say, isn't this backyard going to be so great? Like, imagine the parties you can throw back here, like the family gatherings you can have. And then the high D is going to be, they're driven, fast paced, impatient, efficient, but brutally honest. And boy, when my D comes out, it's rough sometimes. And that's the type of person that I'm going to be very direct and straight to the point. I'm going to call them, hey, your offer was accepted. Do you want to move forward? Hey, they countered this. Do you want to move forward? This house is 3 bedrooms, 2 bath at 5,500 square feet. Could you see yourself living here? Yes
Tara,
or no?
do you implement any of this on any of the emails or the social events that you have, or any of the belly so that you know exactly that person's what they're rating, basically? Like, are you implementing any
Always.
of that stuff? Obviously, yes, right?
You have to, because it changes how I'm going to communicate to them via text message, how I'm going to leave voicemails, how I'm going to write emails. I'm not going to write to a high D an email that I'm going to write to a high I. I'm not going to leave the voicemail the same either. They just want the facts and then they're done. But if somebody's going to be a high S or C, then that's different, because they're steady. Besides that, they're dependable. They prefer security over spontaneity and excitement. So those are the people that, unfortunately, you guys as lenders and attorneys, especially the lender side with the numbers, you guys have to deal with them on a different basis. And I just like, that's a great question. Let's call your lender. Like, especially the cautious and perfectly accurate ones, the high C's, they're compliance people. They're perfectionists who expect everybody to comply with the rules. Like, they crave rule and order and process. They almost seem inflexible, but those are the type of people that I have to make sure, like, hey, this house is 2,396 square feet under air conditioning, and it is on a 7,625 square foot lot. Like, and then my voicemails are more detailed. This is what to expect next. They're very detailed. So it's just understanding that disc profile on another level is beyond helpful.
So at what stage of the process with a client do you assess there, and do you put it in do you have a place where you notate that, I guess, in the CRM, so that you could always reference that before you make some moves? Obviously, when you're well into a deal, you probably remember, but as you're in the sales process, you probably need, what's your strategy on that?
So on the top of my listing seller form and the top of my buyer form in the top right corner, it just says disc and there's a line.
So you just notate it there after.
I notate it there.
As soon as you get a
How
feel
do
for
you
them.
how do you determine that?
I just asked you the magic question.
So, but when is it the right time to ask? So what if there's no belly and it's a phone call that was referred to you by XYZ? You're still asking the question prior. Got it. So that's the trigger, is the question.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Always ask. Buyer consultation, sellers, just ask.
That's freaking awesome.
I love that. That's
I want a list of those questions.
I'll send them to you. They're actually all in the book. And then we kind of have like a discovery where if you run your business and you care like everyone's an S, and you smile like everyone's an I, and you prepare like everyone's a C, and you sell like everyone's a D, you kind of have like the best discovery, like right there. And you're like a chameleon because you can cater to each disc profile.
That's so good. I love that. There's so many ways you could use disc in business, in relationships, in building a team. There's so many in the way you communicate with people in general. It's a good strategy. I know a little bit about it. I don't want to say I'm an expert, but it's something that I should do a deeper dive on.
If you think about it, it's very deep, man, because your conversions have to go up because you're catering now to that person's, what they want exactly, especially a C. You said they're detail oriented. Yeah. So all the people that are analytic and introverts, most likely, if they're really analytic, that's the people you need to really cater to. And I'm not going to sell them at all, So
yeah,
more of a Brian or an Adam on our team that's very analytic. That's interesting. That's good stuff. Interesting.
All right. So you use a disc profile. You have your power notes. You have your list of what do you call it again? The list of your you A through what did you call it? The A through Z list.
That's just a grading.
Okay, so you have that list and you work those relationships. You stack your meetings. What else you got for us?
I mean,
good stuff.
I know it's all good stuff.
The 7 steps to the power note. If anything, I would say remembering that there's this thing called success suicide.
Okay, let's talk about that.
I have to remind myself of that often. Like, it's not always, sunflowers and rainbows over here.
Definitely.
And success suicide is real. And so what that means is when everything is going right and you're doing awesome, and then everything at once seems to be going wrong, whether that's your car breaking down and you had showings, or your deals are falling apart and you can't keep anything together, and your kids are sick, and like everything is happening at once. It usually happens. The breakdown has to happen before a breakthrough.
Right.
So I've learned to accept that success suicide is a real thing. And it usually happens after things are going really, really good. And I've noticed that when I've embraced the down parts and realized, okay, this is success suicide. This is my breakdown. And this is okay, Tara, because you can't have a breakthrough unless you have a breakdown. So it's kind of, and it's a battle. I have to call my coaches just to kind of get a pep talk sometimes. And, but the breakdown happens always before the breakthrough. And then you have another breakthrough, and then you hit another ceiling, and then you have another breakdown to hit the next ceiling. Like it just goes on and on.
So have you ever read the book, The Big Leap?
Yeah.
So that's like the upper limit problem. It's a very similar concept. And so it's basically intentionally or unintentionally, there are things that are created that end up being roadblocks for you, that if you don't really want it, or if your mind's not strong enough, you might change your ways, you might slack off, you might give up, right? Instead, you just got to push through it. And that could be it could be a health problem. It could be a business problem. It could be an industry problem. It comes in different forms, relationship problems, right? They come out. They come out usually when things are really good and you're on a roll, right? And so it's basically the universe testing you to see how bad you really want it. That's how I look at it. And you just got to take it, right? And say, okay, I see what's happening here. I'm not going to let this throw me off. Let's keep it moving, right? Handle that problem, move past it, figure it out, and then keep on the progress. Because you're right. Like we don't improve as business owners, individuals, whatever, until we go through some of these things, right? We can't.
Adversity brings opportunity.
There you go.
I remember the first time I ever had a really bad breakdown, and I called my coach, and my coach said, I was having a meltdown, and he was like, congratulations. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, you're having a breakdown. I was like, go fuck yourself.
Pretty much. Yeah.
He was like, he's like, well, you have to have a breakdown to have your breakthrough. So congratulations. Then I go to my next coach or my team leader, and he said, congrats too. And I was like, what is wrong with you guys?
Yeah.
And then I got it. I was like, okay, I get this now.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. So, do you, like, in your day, break out time to implement these things, or are you like, how do you keep track of who needs what? Are you all into your CRM to remind you?
I don't think I could survive without my CRM.
Yeah.
And I love the one Keller Williams gives us. I don't think I could survive. My family still uses Top Producer. So that I'll have, but for me, it's always been kind of, and before COVID, it was a lot easier, having theme days. So like, I pretty much know the theme of each day that I have. And I do and there's routines and rituals in some levels too. So my favorite ritual is the Sunday night ritual. So Sunday nights, I prepare for the whole week, down to even picking out my clothes for the week, down to looking at my appointments, looking at the weather, know exactly what's going on that week. And by doing that, I know what my themes are for each day. Typically Mondays for me is usually admin days, where I get mostly the stuff in from the weekend off my plate to do all of my like handwritten notes and stuff like that. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays were my networking stack days, and Wednesdays were like team meetings. And then Fridays were always another networking stack and getting prepared for open houses on the weekends. So like having like a theme almost, it helps me structure my day. And then the only other time block for it is when I return phone calls and emails, and that's it. Yeah.
That's good. You have to have that structure, because otherwise you're like, okay, where do I start? Okay, by giving the theme or blocking out the time with that category, right? You already know where to start. And I think that's key, because it can be overwhelming when you want to do so many things and have so many things and have to deal with the clients. Then, as realtors, most of the time, unless you're at a point where you have assistants and growing a team, it's just you, right? So you need to wear the hat to do the admin, the accounting, the marketing, the sales, all that. in a big company has departments, right? But when it's just you, you can't ignore each part because they're all super important part of the process, right? Of growth. So by breaking out times, having themes, block scheduling, you make sure you get it all in. Do you use the
And even the social media time, I have to block social media time too.
yeah, even like you. So talk about that. Let's elaborate. What exactly do you mean you block social media time?
So I have to, because it's the prospecting source, right? So the way that I will analyze my social media during the day is I have Google alerts that will give me information of maybe something that's going on local in the area that I get in the morning. And then I will block out usually an hour in the morning and then an hour in the afternoon. Yes. Am I guilty of checking it during the day sometimes when I'm not supposed to? Absolutely.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
I'm also usually the one to like post a story, not post a story, but take a story, but not post it till later, usually just because I want to be present about what I'm doing at that moment, but I didn't want to lose the opportunity to post that. So that I stick to kind of rules. So a scoreboard per se. And would you go to a football game and watch a football game if they didn't keep score? No, it'd be really boring, right? So
I don't go to football games at all. So
it would be really boring if there was no score. Like you have to have a scoreboard. So like I have a daily scoreboard, and my daily scoreboard is did I sweat? Like, did I sweat today? Did I do something to like get my blood moving and like sweat? Did I do my 50, 25, 5, 1, which I'll explain. And third is, did I at least make one new relationship or get one new appointment? So if instead of looking at the day as a whole and saying, oh my God, my to-do list, I didn't get anything done. If I got my scoreboard done, I can say the day was success and I will do again tomorrow to work on that to-do list. So everybody's scoreboard has to be different, whatever that looks like to you. So my scoreboard for the 50, 25, 5, 1 is around social media. And I'm very systematic when it comes to that. And what that looks like is before I go to post, usually it's going to be 50 likes, interactions, hearts, emojis, whatever you want, sad face, doesn't matter.
You're giving 15 likes?
50.
50 likes.
I'm giving 50 likes. I'm commenting on 25 posts with more than 3 words that I got from Facebook. I had a dinner with the executives 2 years ago. And then interacting. So either 5 direct messages or 5 story interactions. So it's 50 emojis, 25 comments with more than 3 words, and 5 interactions, whether direct messages or on stories, to generate 1 new referral or 1 new contact per day. That also changes your analytics before you post, and that you'll actually, so you want to be mindful about who you're interacting with. Like I'm not wasting my emojis and a couple words on local realtors. Sorry guys, like you're mostly all blocked out of my posts anyways.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because then that's who gets to see your post, right?
It's cheating the system for algorithm.
You do this on Facebook, Instagram, or both?
Both.
So you do.
In the beginning, it took me like an hour. Now I've got it down to the science of like 15, 25 minutes.
Cool. So you do the 15, 25, 5, 1 for like per social media, or that's a combination of the two? So you do 1 for Facebook, 50 for Facebook.
Oh, no. I'll do 50 for Facebook, 50 for Instagram. Both of those. That's today. That's
today. Okay. Cool. So you double it up based on the 2. Cause they're 2 totally different, usually 2 totally different set of people who are using Facebook more often versus using Instagram more often. So there's some overlap, but it works well. I like that.
People are like sitting there scrolling. Well, why not be very purposeful? Your CRM is also your social media. My entire Facebook list is they're in individual lists themselves that they don't even know. So I prospected. The alphabet is broken down. It's a whole other conversation. Alphabet's broken down to 2 letters a week, because if you touch everybody in your database 2 letters a week, you touch everybody in your database once a quarter. So even my Facebook is set up like that. So if you're very intentional, like take advantage. We have social media, but when you're bored and scrolling, be intentional. Like it's not that difficult. Success is simple. It's not easy. But if you are intentional with your social media, you'll see a world of difference.
I love that. Yeah. Because, and especially there's so much mindless scrolling on social media And I'm guilty of that sometimes too, right? When you just want to like disconnect and just like whatever, let's see what's happening. But the reality is, if you put purpose behind it, it's a very strong tool. So it's important to know that and to have that intention, even with the scrolling, right? You could be scrolling to like disconnect, but then at the same time, why don't you knock out some marketing, interactions, for lack of a better way to describe all that. But that's great. I love that. I love that it gives you like a structure. A lot of people were good with structure, right? Versus just saying, make sure you interact, make sure you post, make sure you like, make sure you tag, make sure you this, make sure. But if, that's kind of, it's still an abstract thing, but this says, okay, every day I'm going to do this, 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 and this. And then that creates you a way to have that accomplishment. Like, okay, I must do this today. I like that. Anthony, do you have any strategies with your social media?
Offense and defense, I call it. And
what do you mean?
Basically the offense is just basically commenting and engaging with, agents. I'm trying to get agents. And then the defense is physically posting and, sending out content. But this is, you're never going to see me. I'm always on offense. I'm always going and going and going and posting. I'm not the guy that really scrolls too often, but I'm definitely guilty with the stories. Like I'm sucked in when it's a story.
So make sure you're commenting. Make sure that you're engaging.
On the comments, I'm trying to do that too. Now, my biggest question.
But even in the stories, like for me, I like stories because you get to know people that way. I like to use stories and I like to see people's stories because that's how you really get to know and connect. That's how I've always used social media. But it really unintentionally, just because I like people, right? So that's how I can start to build that relationship. So if that's what you like, then make sure you be intentional with the part that you like, right? And then just go and do the other stuff as part of the routine, but use what you like to your advantage. And that might be doing a few more DMs, in the stories and stuff like that. Well, you had a question?
Are you, Tara, are you 50 comments? Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you've got what, 25 people that are engaging with you. Who's catering to that? Is it you or is it your VA? Someone helping you out with that?
Good question.
Wait, repeat that.
That's a lot of engaging. Like your engagement rate must be through the roof. And so who's catering to all that? You're not doing that all day. No. So is there a VA?
Do you have assistance with your accounts, or are you doing that all yourself? Is the question.
No, I tried that and I started getting all this crazy spam. I hired 2 VAs and I was like, no. So honestly, it doesn't take that much time because I'm intentional about who I'm conversating to. So if it's like a friend that just had a baby, it's like, oh, congratulations, she's adorable. There's not going to be too much engagement. And I usually turn off notifications for that post after because I don't need my thing to be flooded.
Right. That
so
makes sense.
it's being intentional about the ones that I know that I'm truly going to have a conversation with, because you never want to post and then go ghost. So I'm just intentional. I don't do it to everybody to where I want all 50 to have a conversation, to reply to me and start this massive conversation. I don't have time for that.
Yeah, that's true, right?
Just very direct with that. That's good. All right.
When you're doing this, yeah. Let's get to the point, right? So, when you're doing this exercise, are you doing it on the web or are you doing it from your phone?
Usually my phone. Although I'm finally back in the office since March 2020 as of last week. And I can't tell you how much I miss my big desktop and then my little computer and having different screens. Like I miss it so much. So
yeah,
now that I'm back in the office, I do like doing it on my desktop, but usually I just do it on my computer.
Yeah. Good stuff.
I mean, my phone.
Your phone. Yeah. I like that. And that's definitely something that, when we catch downtime throughout the day. So it's definitely something that you could use to like fill in that time, like being in a waiting room, right? Waiting for something to happen, on hold. There's so many ways you could do that. Just trying to stay, consistent with it is probably the hardest part, I would say.
It is. And I think, again, that's my scoreboard. So if somebody wanted to add social media to their scoreboard, then maybe just start with a 5-5-5. 5 comments with more than 3 words, 5 likes, and 5 interactions or direct messages to generate 1 appointment and see how that works. But if you see success from it because you're consistent, I would suggest that you pump it up a little bit and you'll see more results.
Definitely. I love that. And then you got to start, you can't start sometimes with too much to start, because you got to be realistic in what you have. And you also got to see if that's really where you have room for growth as as a business owner, as a realtor, as an individual, because if your target market is not on, for example, Instagram, then you shouldn't be spending as much energy there. You want to be visible, but focusing on Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever else, because there's a lot of other ways to connect, right, with people and seeing where that comes from. So I love that.
Are you running a business or are you just having fun because you're bored?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's a tool
to run a business.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then, boredom, I mean, I think that's pretty common, and have to come to the piece of boredom with mastery sometimes. And if you allow boredom to be the reason you quit, then you're just going to quit every single time.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. I love that. So recapping, the name of the book is Seven Levels of Communication. Okay. So if you're listening to this, either live or on the replay, I've read this book. We didn't mean to talk about this book the whole time, but I'm glad it did, because it's definitely a really powerful book for you guys to look into, no matter what business you're in, but especially real estate, because this is a relationship business. As you can see, a referral takes you much further, right, than paid leads. If you get, would you much rather a referral or a paid lead, right? I think we could all agree a referral is where you want to be. And I think it's more fun.
Yeah.
It's more fun. And for me, not that I don't want to do things that are not fun, but building relationships, I really enjoy it. But that's also because, I guess, of the high I that I am. So there you go. That makes sense, right? So see what works for you, see what you like to do, and then build around that. Because there's different ways to build relationship business, but make sure you enjoy it, because then that'll shine through as well. Right. So Seven Levels of Communication. It's another great book is The Big Leap. And then that we mentioned today. So
A to Z referrals.
A to Z referrals, stack your meetings, get a home court advantage, study the disc profile, be of value, right, to your sphere, and then have yourself a scoreboard each day, because to be able to make sure that you stay on track to doing your highest and best use activities to keep growing your business. And I think I did a good recap on that. What do you guys think?
That was
awesome. All the nuggets tied up with a little bow.
That was awesome. And just like reminding, like, we're playing an infinite game. Like, relationships matter. You never know who you will need to be in business with 10 to 15 years from now. And if anybody tells you no, it doesn't mean no, it just means not yet.
Yes, definitely. And don't let that no hurt your ego, right? Because you never know when they come back around. It happens all the time. So thank you so much, Tara, for joining us. We appreciate your time. Thank you for sharing your expertise and your experience with our subscribers. We really appreciate you. Thanks, Anthony, for another great show. And that's a wrap.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks
appreciate
for having
it.
me.
Bye.
Bye, guys.